Iteration. Programming languages. What is iteration? Iteration can be a little complicated to understand. So let's talk about the bricklayer. The story about the bricklayer is one of a man building a house out of brick. House takes some number of brick, let's say 1,000, in order to be built. So the bricklayer starts by placing one brick, followed by another, and another, and then another, until the house is built completely. That is iteration. Iteration is asking the computer to do something, some task, repetitively. But what does iteration look like in code? Well, let's hop right over to an IDE and let's figure this out. Here in our IDE, we have a public class called iteration. And here is our playground for which I'll show you what iteration looks like in Java. And now, a lot of these languages look similar. C, Java, C++, all their loops and iterative processes will look similar. Scripting languages like Python, it's a little different, but if you can do it in Java, you can most likely do it in any other language. Now that we have our variables declared, we're going to start with the first loop. For loop is a pre-test loop, meaning it will test the condition first before ever iterating once. So I'll show you what that looks like. So it always takes some number as its counter. So in this case, int I is the counter, while I is less than limit, I will increment by 1, and we'll just print the counter I. It counts all the integers between 0 and 10, but not 10 because I is less than, not equal to limit. But if we were to do that, it would print all the way to 10. Now, let's say for some reason I is greater than the limit. So let's just put 100. We'll now see down here in the command line that nothing happens. See? But nothing happens. It's because the loop is first testing, is I less than or equal to limit? Well, 100 is greater than 10. So it's going to completely disregard the body of the loop down here. So all that runs is this condition. There's a very cool thing you can do with for loops. It's called an advanced for loop. That looks like this, where it will enumerate through an array where it will stop at the end of the array without having to use a counter. And each variable, this variable right here, var, will be each variable in the array. So here we'll do int var nums system. We'll see that it prints all the values from this array up here without having to use the counter I. Now, this isn't really there's no condition here. Well, the only condition is that there is elements left in the array. If nums, for example, had nothing in it and it just was empty, it wouldn't work. Or if it equals the empty set, nothing prints because there's no variables. There's nothing to enumerate through. Now we get to another form of loop, the while loop. The while loop is also another pre-test. So that means you'll have some condition. While it's true, it'll keep executing the loop. The while limit is greater than 0, we'll print the limit, and then we'll de-increment it by 1. So let's get rid of these other loops up here. Now we can see as soon as the limit is no longer greater than 0, it'll stop executing the loop and it will exit. Now with the while loop, you could also print while true, because the while loop, it's a conditional loop, so all you need is some Boolean expression. So while true, it will go on forever. Now this is not great for your code. You don't want code to ever run forever, and you never want to get stuck in a loop. That's why I urge you to stay away from while true. There's some applications for while true, I'm sure of. However, I think it's a bad coding. And now this leads us to our first post test and our final loop of the video. That's the do while. Do while is a pretty cool loop because it will always execute at least once, no matter what. So let's say do while print limit do while limit greater than less than, no, greater than 100. All right. So as we look at the code right now, limit is not greater than 100 because limit's 10, 10 is less than 100. But we'll see that the code will execute the body of the loop, 10, but no more and never again. Now, if it's the other way around, it will loop forever. And that kind of ties into the last thing, final part of the video, is these conditional loops, you have to be very, very careful that your conditions will eventually no longer be true because you want to exit the loop. Now, if your goal is to infinitely loop, then set a condition that will always be true, or try the while true. However, it's not a great idea as it could lead to bugs and other side effects. Anywho, I think that is everything. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you learned something. Stay tuned, stay watching, and I'll make another one. All right, bye-bye.